Wow. Y'all look so beautiful. We haven't been here since July, so it's actually a longer stint away than normal for us here at the Museum of Science with a Beautiful Resistance, and I could not be more thrilled to be back in our living room with you. Somebody open up a seat for our friend. We're all family in here. I'm Jeneé Osterheldt, your resident joy pusher, good troublemaker, founder of A Beautiful Resistance. Our relationship with the museum began 3 years ago, but really my relationship with the museum began 5 years ago at the precipice of A Beautiful Resistance. Pre-vaccine COVID times, James Monroe reached out to me to do some work with the museum. And after a year or so, he did something that nobody ever does, which is ask me how he could support what I was doing. And that led to this living room we have here. It led to shared humanity, building bridges, and really knowing what it is to find safe space in each other. Because the road ahead is long and it's hard, and we are in the face and threat of autocracy. But what we have here with each other is very much steps towards freedom within ourselves, which is the very first step to revolution. So thank you for being here. I'm talking a little longer than I normally do, but it's just because I'm so happy to see you. And I want to give so much love to DJ Mez Wave, who is our resident vibe curator, newest member of the ABR family. Come up here for a second, Mez. Yes. For those of you who don't know, Mez Wave is literally Black Boy Joy. Every time I see him, he shows love. You could tell he loves what he does. And we've had so many illustrious DJs grace the ABR family, and I'm just so happy you chose to be here with us. Could you share your beautiful resistance with the people?
So yeah, my beautiful resistance, I would just say I love to make people dance. I love to make people feel good. I love to connect with people through music, and just really share, the vibes, the vibrations. That's really all I'm about, Universal music is universal, vibrations are universal, and that's how I like to, connect and show my love and receive it back.
Tell them how they can find you.
I could be found on all social media platforms at mez.wave. That's mez.wav. Yeah, reach out. Don't be afraid to say hi. Pull up to a party, come dance with me. Yeah.
And we're gonna dance after this conference. Like after the panels, there's more party time. The bar will be open. We're gonna have a good time. This is not your everyday panel. Yep. All right. All right. I want to throw it to a never before seen episode of A Beautiful Resistance Season 3. We are a year late, but I promise when this season drops, you will be elated and empowered and on fire with love and inspiration and purpose. This is Java with Jimmy and Jeneé. From me, Cheney, and Michaela. Cheney, Keeks, let's get it.
For people who don't know, who is James Jimmy Hills?
James Jimmy Hills is a young man that grew up in Boston in the Bromley Heath housing projects, whose mother had succumbed to crack, who was molested, who out of that found himself under 13 walking the street for attention. I'm someone that was always a leader, but did not know that and how to lead in an effective manner. I am a mesh of a lot of mistakes and falling on my face, but someone now who embraces impact.
Java with Jimmy, but with Jeneé today.
Yeah, that's kind of dope. That's kind of dope with Jeneé, with the coffee and.
You know, it's all the J's.
Yes, okay.
Well, what makes your life a beautiful resistance?
My life is a beautiful resistance because I've embraced the fact that all that I am of being a Black, gay male who grew up in the projects in a Pentecostal background, authenticity is the big piece of my beautiful resistance. I've embraced all that I am, the intersectionality of that, and the beauty of that is that process has caused me to be more authentic, so then I can go out and just share myself, share resources, share the mission of Java with Jimmy with the community. So my beautiful resistance is rooted in authenticity of who I am as James William Isaac Hills.
What does it mean to do Java with Jimmy? What does that mean?
At first, it was literally one show. I've moved in the community and from an activist responding to trauma. So I've had a little audience through the years. The day the governor told us that we needed to stay home during the shut-in, I went live that next morning because I knew what we saw exacerbated in Black and brown communities during COVID was going to happen. I went live, 50 people came in the room. I was kind of surprised and I just was talking. At the very end, my mother said, "Will this be an everyday coffee hour?" I said, "Didn't plan on it, but we'll be here tomorrow." And it's interesting because I think being here with you today, the emotion of 3 years later, we're still here. So it started as a labor of love and to share information with the community and to prepare us for what we saw happen during COVID. And so today it is really an element, a vehicle to inform community and mobilize us to improve our lives equitably.
We got some real challenges. We've got some real work to do. But I believe firmly that we can get there together, you know, working together. And so that excites me. And again, thanks for having me on this morning.
Now, a lot of people will look at Java with Jimmy and, you know, look at you and say, oh, all of this happened overnight. It was an overnight success. How do you kind of handle that false narrative and also the pressure of what it is to step all the way into the light?
It's been 40 years of investment, love for our community, suggesting ideas from municipal administrations, state administrations, to going to community meetings.
You did a lot of political work, a lot of grassroots work.
Yes. And I alluded to a few minutes ago that I spent some time in medicine, making me apt to ask the questions for COVID. I spent some time working in politics, Mayor Menino, Governor Patrick, and I did spend some time in the second Bush administration, but we can skip that. It made me apt to talk in the political space. And then, as you mentioned, and thank you for the grassroots and community where it all started, it made me be better able to ask questions through both of those informed lenses. So it's not overnight. It has been a 40-year labor of love.
Let's give all of our providers a hand that's here. Let's give all our friends a hand that's here. And let's give all our enemies too that's here. Let's celebrate them too that's here.
You are such a man of faith. And it's very clear. It emanates off you. Every time I see you, I always kind of feel like you're praying over everybody. One of my favorite moments of the year was at the unveiling of Embrace, watching you lead the choir. How have you been able to walk so steadfastly in your faith in a country where faith has been weaponized against the queer community so harshly.
In an environment in the Black community, in the hood, with my faith and growing up in a Pentecostal environment, it hasn't been easy. It's interesting because faith caused me not to commit suicide, but the issues with faith and my sexuality caused me to consider suicide, because there was this thing that I knew was a part of me. I knew that God knew was a part of me before he called me, but then I'm in an environment that is telling me that it's going to send me to hell, and it separates me from God. And I still sort of struggle with that. I'm more open about it, but I'm also, through life experience and my own personal relationship with God, going back and forth between the two of those is part of my authenticity and who I am. And so it just really boils down for me that I know that God loves me.
But I do want to talk about, I mean, we've talked quite a bit about mental health and what it means to sort of release yourself from certain dangerous and toxic and unhealthy perceptions about us as a people, about queer people, about Black people, but also about the individual self. And you talked about your childhood and walking on the street for attention and your mother's addiction. My parents were also addicts, and what it is to sort of, have to struggle with, being molested or losing agency or being targeted, harassed, and bullied, and suicidal thoughts. How have you held on to the joy and released the pain so that you could be here with us?
I just realized that if I wanted to have impact, I needed to take care of me. And taking care of me caused me to go back to my childhood. It caused me to really learn to love my mother. It caused me to not continue to browbeat myself through what I was taught, in church. It caused me to really look at the error of my ways and how I interact with people. It was a lot of effort, and it was a lot of what folks I think call shadow work, in going back into my past, in writing letters to myself, in just being real and forgiving people.
I was just about to ask you, how did you forgive your mom?
I really don't know, Jeneé. I love her. She's my #1 supporter. You can't take a picture, do anything on Instagram. She can't say, "Nice picture, James. That's my son."
Doesn't that feel good, though?
It does feel good, because you can't serve your community, you can't love unequivocally if you're harboring pain and hurt in your heart. It's hard, and you gotta trust, but it is so worth it. It is so worth it.
Wrestling with pain is, to me, such a big part of the human experience, because we complicate things as humans. So I feel like there's always pain to be wrestled with. But rooting yourself in the love and the joy is how we get by. So what gives you joy?
What gives me joy is helping my community. It is seeing the impact of the platform, where I have people telling me they went and got their breast exam. I have people telling me that the computer that you advocated for back in 2020, got little Johnny through school that year. I'll be honest, my self-care is expensive, but it's worth it. It has to be a beach. It has to include some type of raw fish, sashimi, ahi, tuna taco, something. Seeing the sunrise from across the ocean, that brings me Black joy.
I'm sorry, you said my self-care is expensive, and I need that on a t-shirt.
That will be one of the t-shirts that will be coming out on the next
Yeah,
merch.
that's got to be one of the job.
My self-care
is
expensive. And we make investments in everything else. Why not invest in ourselves, in our self-care?
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
What we having today?
I think I'm gonna get. Do you guys do like vanilla latte?
Yeah, I do. Yep.
Can I get a vanilla latte with whipped cream? And do you have whipped cream?
Ooh, let's try a Vienna latte.
Ooh, what's that?
So it's a latte, but it has coffee, whipped cream, and then whatever type of milk you want. And it looks pretty.
Yes, I'm gonna have a Vienna latte.
You want a small one?
I'll do a small.
I think we're going to get 2 of those.
2 of those?
Exactly the same. It's iced?
Yes.
Okay.
We're at Underground. Tell me
We're
how
at
you like your
Underground.
coffee, Java with Jimmy.
I come to the Underground when I need a special fix, and so I typically like my coffee around my complexion. I like it to be strong, just a little sweet, and with some cream.
What makes Black love black?
Can I be real? The smell, the flirting, the ambiguity of not knowing sometimes what to expect.
You got me all in the smell
Feels?
of it. The smell of it.
Yes,
It's like shea butter. It's like myrrh. It's like Black love is the ocean. It's like
It becomes so, but that gets to the point of like the fluidity of it. It is fluid. It could be a traditional heterosexual model. It could be, within the wide scope of the LGBTQ plus community. It is just so fluid. It can change.
It can be between friends.
It can be between
families.
friends. It can be between family.
What's next for Java with Jimmy?
What's next for Java with Jimmy? Well, we're in the process of doing our debut, as you're aware, with WGBH. So we're on TV. The Voices of Embrace Inspirational Choir we're rehearsing monthly now. We're staying together. So if you ever do anything, and holler if you need us.
I want to talk about the Java Cafe because, Java with Jimmy, we got our coffees.
The Java Cafe ideally will be a place where, one, I can record the show. I want to have a studio audience. I want to bring guests in to the Java Cafe that are doing great things in the community. But one thing that was the essence of Java with Jimmy is raising stories of people having an impact in the community. So I want to be able to do that live. I want to be able to host community meetings there. A lot of the activists and a lot of the people that make change for the community, where do they gather? And really identify or move in space of Black joy. So the Java Cafe will be a multi-community service center.
What would you tell, young baby James?
You won't be understood. You might get ostracized, critiqued. You won't get a lot of support in certain things. You are gifted. You are handsome. You have the ability to change the world. You're gonna find you a man one day. And yeah.
He gonna find me a man?
I know a couple brothers,
Dear young Jimmy, of then and of now, your life is a beautiful resistance. And thank you for having Java with Jeneé.
That's a series right there. Thank you. Love you and appreciate you. And thank you for what you do for our community. Thank you.
Java with Jimmy.
I gotta hear the beat. Where's the beat?
You don't hear that?
I needed a 1 and a 4, a 2 and a 3. I'm a little old school. Jeneé, I know you have your plan, but thank you.
Thank you.
Timing is everything, and so I'll shut up before she gets me because James is looking at me. So we'll go with. And can we? But never mind. Go ahead. This is your show, not Java with Jimmy. I'll shut up.
This what happened when you get two people who ask questions for a living on stage. First, thank you. Please give it up for this incredible human. Some things have changed in the year since we shot this, and a lot is just different now. Can you give us a little update on what's going on with GBH? And can we all just agree we want to see the Java Cafe live and popping?
GBH in their efforts to bring in community voices was not used to handling non-journalist voices. The way this community voice was handled was not the best. However, they have realized the error of their ways, and they have, as recently as yesterday, the president and I are in conversation. I've made plain what my thank you for your advice, because
That's off the record.
y'all know I'm authentic, and sometimes that gets me in trouble, but we are back in conversation with WGBH, and stay tuned to see how that goes.
And in the year of being human, we are so happy to celebrate the Museum of Science's relationship with Java with Jimmy.
So again, shout out to James. This was shared, but I haven't really made an announcement. Come June, and I just got to give it up for the museum. And you can agree, like, when it comes to 50-50, the museum is one of the #1 partners. And so in June, we will be announcing Java with Jimmy, a mini residency here at the Museum of Science around being human and everything that comes with that. And so thank you, James, thank you.
Thank you so much. I am always overjoyed to be in community with you. Thanks for trusting us with your beautiful resistance and just always being a cherished, prayerful brother in my life.
Love you much.
Hold on, wait, what? Oh, his t-shirt? Oh, self-care is expensive. When is self-care is expensive coming out? All right, because I'm waiting. I need the first after yours. All right. Then y'all can have some. Our next guest is literally the first person in Boston to put me on a panel. I had only been at the Globe, I think, for a couple months, maybe. And I got this email about celebrating and advocating and protecting Black girlhood and the push out in the school to prison pipeline. And I was so lucky to meet this critically acclaimed educator, executive director, and founder of Love Your Magic, Ivana Solano, creating space for Black and brown girls for a better future and a better world, because we all know if we pour into our brown and Black girls, we pour into the world. Give it up for Miss Ivana Solano. Thank you, Black girl. Thank you, Black girl.
Thank you.
Okay, Boots.
Thanks. You know, I tried.
Okay. Right? That's why Shan want to dance with me.
Precisely.
Ivana, first, let's tell the audience a little bit more about Love Your Magic.
Thank you. So as you mentioned, I'm the founder and executive director of Love Your Magic. Love Your Magic actually started from my time in the classroom. I was a Boston public school teacher, and at the time I was seeing firsthand the ways in which Black and brown girls had internalized messages that they were either too much or not enough. It was also around the time that I learned about Dr. Monique Kufson's work around push-out and the criminalization and adultification of Black girls in schools. And it just became really clear that I had to do something about it. And so myself and a few of my colleagues decided to host a conference, and it was the first time we held it. We had about 30 kindergarten students at the time, and they were the first ones that were a part of it. And seeing the impact that that moment had for them really just inspired us to continue to do it and continue to grow. The pandemic happened, and it just became really clear that our girls really needed spaces and needed resources and needed community more than ever. And so our organization went from just an annual conference to now an organization that provides programs, events, and community partnerships. And really our goal is to create sacred spaces where our girls can show up as their authentic selves and develop the skills that they need to thrive.
So if you're one of the people in here that bought one of those 50 A Beautiful Resistance sweaters, this is what you supported. You supported Love Your Magic. Your money helped girls get into a space, summer camp, conferences. This is what your money contributed to, this work. What is your earliest memory of girlhood?
That's a great question. When I think about my earliest memories of girlhood, I think about growing up in the Dominican Republic. So I was born and raised in the Dominican Republic, and I had a lot of cousins, right? Like my mom and her sisters thought it was a great idea. I don't know how it worked out for them, but it worked out great for us for them to get pregnant around the same time. And so I grew up with a whole bunch of cousins who all just were around all the time. And I remember that we would spend like the mornings together playing outside. We would play hand games. We'd be running up and down the street. We would go back inside for lunch, shower, get dressed, and it was right back outside. And so when I think about my earliest memories of girlhood, I think about just the experiences that my family really curated for us growing up, making sure that we were always together, leaning on each other, and really providing that sense of sisterhood that when I immigrated to the US was like gone. And so that for me was like really a rude awakening, not really having that community anymore. And I think it's really what's inspired a lot of the work that I do now, right? Wanting to create the spaces that I had access to growing up for our girls, knowing that the community here is a little different.
What did you notice specifically about the messaging here that changed how you saw yourself, especially as an Afro-Latina?
You know, I think growing up, a lot of times you experience things, and if you don't really have the name for it, sometimes you kind of either feel like you're being gaslit or you're just like, well, I don't really know what's happening here. And so growing up, I think I was experiencing a lot of things, right? I was an English language learner. I didn't understand anything. I come from an immigrant household. I had a unibrow at the time, and my mom didn't let me pluck my unibrow. And so I experienced a lot of bullying through that as well. And I think when I was in the Dominican Republic, I had a strong sense of community, and I was in community with folks that looked like me, that shared my identity, that understood culturally, like, oh no, she's gonna have that unibrow for a while. And when I came to the United States, I no longer had that. And even though I grew up in Lane Wright, when I came to the US and I had people who identified with my experiences, it was different. And I didn't have anyone to really like speak life into me, right? Remind me that I am beautiful just the way you are, that things are going to be okay, and really just create that soft space for me to land. I didn't have that. And so I think that that's really what like stood out the most to me.
One of the things I've always admired about you is you have this quiet confidence.
Thank you.
And I know I know personally that's not easy to carry, particularly if you're grappling with any type of childhood traumas or childhood identity issues. And for you, as a Black woman, as a Latina woman, as a queer woman, like, where did you get to a space where you felt confident to be your full self and so loved within that you could pour without?
That's a great question. I don't know that I feel that I've arrived at that destination just yet, but I do think I'm in a space where I've unlearned a lot of what I learned growing up, right? All of these messages that we as Black and brown women and girls get from like society, from our families, and from folks who really shouldn't be telling us how to think about ourselves. And so I do think I'm in a space where I'm unlearning that. And I also feel a sense of responsibility. And I think that that sense of responsibility is what gives me that confidence, knowing that I am doing work that is not only for the girls, but it's also really healing to me. And for me, it's important that if I'm giving the girls these tools, that I'm also modeling said tools. And so I think a lot of times I don't really love public speaking, but I'll do it because I'm reminded of the fact that I'm pushing the girls to do these things. I'm encouraging them, I'm empowering them, and giving them the tools that they need to do.
And doesn't she do it so beautifully?
Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, I would say that I am very much a work in progress. And I think that it's important for girls to see that too, right? Understand that a lot of their same concerns are my concerns as well, even as an adult, and that we're kind of just figuring it out along the way. And I think that for them also gives them the space to show up as their full selves and love that and embrace that, because they know that even that showing up as their full selves is enough, really.
Thank you.
Thank you.
When I look at you and Devin, the Teachers Lounge, Gavin, a number of educators throughout our community, I always feel so grateful because there has been a very targeted attack, not just against the innocent childhood of our children, which they've always been adultified. They've always had their innocence stripped away from them by these systems. But now we have a targeted attack against our books, a dilapidation and destruction of the education system as we know it, not teaching true history, and what to me seems like a very acute attack against the Black imagination. Because they know how beautifully dangerous it is to be inspired by your imagination and to know that things are possible beyond what you're told. How is it for you navigating this climate, this new administration or returning administration that is absolutely going right after our kids and straight towards indoctrination?
I would say it's definitely been a challenge. Makes me think a lot about this quote that I had in my classroom at the time when I was a teacher, or part of the quote is by Sarah Shakur: no one is going to give you the education that you need to overthrow them if they know that that's what's going to help set you free. And I think with this new administration, I think a lot of what it's doing is creating a lot of fear. It's also creating a lot of hurt in our community. And for us, what we're trying to focus on is really just creating these spaces where we can lean on our community. We know that community is going to be the only thing that will help us really get through this. And so for us, it's been important to really continue to create these sacred spaces and thinking about what it means to not only create these sacred spaces for our girls, but also their caregivers, the community that is pouring and supporting our girls. Because we have to really just lean on each other. And I think a lot of times our Black and brown girls are told that they need to be resilient. And that's really the narrative that's pushed in school, in our communities, and what's really celebrated, right? You see a young girl overcome a challenge and you thank her for her resilience and you acknowledge that. But we don't take a moment to celebrate and acknowledge girls when they're being soft, when they're taking the time to feel their feelings and feel their rage. And I think that is equally as important. And so what we are prioritizing this year now more than ever is thinking about what self-care looks like for us, right? Like we push our girls to do well in school, to do all of these things. And then you have all of the noise from what's happening in the world and all of the chaos, but creating spaces for them to know that it's okay to slow down. And that actually it's important to slow down because you can't pour from an empty cup. So once you are full first, you take care of you first, you can really show up and take care of your community. And so that'll be really the thread that you'll see through all of our programs now, thinking about how to continue to create these spaces where we can love on each other, where we can talk about how we're feeling, and where we can action plan together, right? There's so much power in our community. And I think just making sure that we're passing the mic to our young people and giving them the space to create some of those solutions is going to be the most important.
That's literally why the phrase "a beautiful resistance" was created. I created it because I wanted to subvert the idea of what resistance looks like. And I wanted people to consider beauty and joy and softness and dreaming as tools of the resistance too. Could you talk a little bit about your self-care and how you pour into your cup?
That's a work in progress too. But I would say that I have started to meditate a lot more. I think finding moments to just like be still, and also practicing gratitude more intentionally. I think that has really shifted things for me in the past. And then I think things got better and I forgot about it. So I'm trying to like circle back to that. Really just making sure that I'm thinking about what it is that I'm grateful for, naming it, and just living in a spirit of gratitude.
What makes Black joy Black?
I think I would say just showing up as your authentic self, being free, right? Liberation. This idea of not being worried about what like anyone is thinking, really freedom of expression. I would say that that's what makes Black joy Black.
Now you just got a space, a Love Your Magic space.
Yes. Thank you.
Tell the people about it.
Yeah, so we had an opportunity which was shared with us actually by a caregiver who has been like one of our biggest supporters, Naomi Santiago. And she shared this opportunity and was like, hey, you should check it out and apply. And we applied and we were selected. So now we have our own space where we can host programs for the girls more regularly, which is super exciting. We actually started programming last Friday with our Their Eyes Were Watching Boston program. And so it's really exciting to be able to continue to provide programs and really just a space for our girls to just be, right? Like knowing that if there's a place that they need to go to after school, whether it's to just read or help each other out, that space is there and their joy isn't going to be policed, and they can just be.
How can people give back to Love Your Magic?
I would say that there are many ways you can give back to Love Your Magic. You can volunteer your time. I think it's really important for our girls to see that there are dope Black and brown folks who are doing great things. And I think being in community with them is really important as our girls are thinking about what happens beyond college and so on. You can donate on our website, loveyourmagic.org. And you can follow us on social media too and think about ways in which, like, if you have a skill or a business, coming into a career speaker series, and sharing your journey with the girls, right? I think representation is important. So our website is loveyourmagic.org, and you can find us on social media at loveyourmagicBOS, as in Boston.
Well, what makes your life a beautiful resistance?
My life is a beautiful resistance because I hold sacred spaces for Black and brown girls to understand and embrace the fullness of themselves and who they are. And through that, I am reminded to love myself fully as well. I'm reminded to lean into my softness, to step into my power, and to just be myself unapologetically.
Thank you, Black girl.
Thank you so much. Thank you. The feeling is mutual. Thank you.
Give it up for Ivana Solano. Hold on, I gotta do my Mr. Rogers thing. Give me a second. Our next guest. Our next guest is a tastemaker. He's an entrepreneur, a true artist. The owner and visionary behind Brainchild, Doug Ensign. Wait, you coming up too fast. You gotta get saucy. You gotta get saucy with me just a little bit. Just a little bit.
What's up, everybody?
You like my jacket?
I love that jacket actually.
Does it work? Is it? You guys,
Yeah. Brown
he made
is the
this.
color. Brown is your color.
You're not gonna let them see the hat? I gotta do the marketing?
They know the hat. They know the hat.
Not everybody. Don't get cocky. Hi, Doug. How are you feeling?
I'm doing well, all things considered.
He's a little nervous.
Yeah.
Can y'all give him a little more love? So, I have to ask, what does it feel like? Like, I got online one day and there was someone in LA trying to like get a plug to get a hold of one of these jackets. It was the one I had on in the Java with Jimmy episode. Yeah. And they were just, really, really trying. And then I was on Complex or Hypebeast and your stuff was on there. What does it feel like when I was in the airport and sent you a picture once because I'm sorry I was a creeper, but I saw somebody randomly in the airport and not in the Boston airport with a Brainchild piece on and I like snapped a picture and was like, look, you everywhere. Yeah. What does it feel like to see your work out there in the world on people?
Oh man, I like to say it never really gets old. Like it's a constant reminder that, I've been blessed enough to have like a talent, nurture a talent and not only nurture the talent, but have people really like experience life in these things that I create. Like I've seen people getting married in my like pieces. I've seen, people going to parties, like throwing parties, like Mez is throwing a party and he has the Brainchild hat on every day, like or a lot, So it's just like, yeah, it's a dream come true. So it's all good.
Fashion to me is armor. It is a way in which we both express ourselves to the world and protect ourselves from the world. It's this beautiful other language. What's your earliest memory of fashion?
My earliest memory of fashion, if I'm being honest, is probably like 06, 07. Just like trying to get fly in high school. Like high school for me, like Brockton, I grew up in Brockton. So Brockton High, if anybody is familiar, is like you go to school and you're trying to like really put that on, like, and I'm saving like my lunch money just to try to buy some, you know what I mean?
What was you trying to buy?
White Air Force One, low tops, like back then it was LRG heavy, like, all that type of stuff, for me.
When did you realize it wasn't just like for the flex, but this was something you wanted to do?
For me, I think that came after high school. And when I was getting into college, I kind of just started to understand a little bit more about design. I went to Mass Art in Boston near the Museum of Fine Arts. And I think I started to do it as just like an outlet because I wasn't really feeling fulfilled in what I was learning through like that curriculum. So it was just like a way for me to kind of express myself. And just do something that made me feel alive in the midst of feeling like it was a really big transition, right? Going from Brockton, like there's a lot of Cape Verdean and Haitian, like heavy. I never felt like a minority until I went to college, in my entire life. So it was like a pretty hard shift. And I think just through that shift, trying to find something to keep me going. Yeah.
How did you rebuild your safe harbor in that environment? Because a lot of times when you are used to having that safety net and then you go into a space when suddenly you are the other, it forces you to sort of create a different safety net and almost rise into a new level of you.
Yeah.
How did you do that?
Yeah, man. I got lucky. I found like a small group of like 2-3 friends that are still friends of mine to this day. so I had someone and like something to look forward to whenever I went. And also, luckily for me, they just happened to be people who I felt like were exponentially better than me at something that we were doing in the same field, like in the same study. So it also just pushed me to be like a better creative and just like really is the thing that like helped me get through like my whole 4 years, really. Just having like somebody who actually looked like me that I could find and that could relate and all of that. So
I just want to pause on something that Doug said. It's just 2 to 3 people. You don't need like 30 people or some big posse. So much change can happen with just like 1 or 2 other people seeing you.
that's a fact.
Oh. What is you said fashion is how you started to express yourself. So what are you saying with Brainchild? What is the Brainchild origin story?
Oh man, so Brainchild origin story. Brainchild was actually birthed through like failure. I had a brand that I had started named Parlay, early days of college. This is probably like 2011, 2012, that I did for about 5 years. And going through like the program, just getting older, learning more about design in general, I kind of had outgrown it and I started to value different things. Before I was like this young kid, like I was chasing the hypebeast blogs and I was doing everything for that. Cause like in my mind, like my shit wasn't, sorry. My like designs weren't valid unless I was on that platform and getting that recognition. And that was like my measurement for success. And then when I ended that and I kind of started to reconfigure my thought process, my measure of success became how many people I could impact. And then through there, I was able to start building like a community around what I'm doing. And it really just started with putting out things that I really love. So a lot of the early Brainchild stuff is just like fun anime references and stuff like that, and just cool stuff that like you could just throw on and it's just different. You're not gonna see anything else like it, you know? So yeah.
How did it feel when you got the new era? Chad.
Oh man, shout out Ched.
Shout out Chad.
Nah, on a serious note, shout out Ched, because Ched is like a true friend. True like big brother. He gets at me all the time for calling him my big bro, whatever, but he's like a true big brother. Anything I ever needed, he's always like supporting me, always helped push me. But yeah, man, like my other mentor, friend, brother, Frank Rivera, is the one who connected me with Ched. And we're both Brockton boys, so it was like an easy, you know, connect. And yo, they just believed in what I was doing, what I like had set out to do for the city.
Can you show people the front of the hat
Yeah.
and the B and just what went into this and why?
I'll just wear it, I guess.
Because so what I see when I look at this, and I want to hear, because I want to know the story, but I told him this when I first saw this hat. I wanted this hat so badly that I had to send Chaney to the event, which he was going anyway, but I was out of town and I was like, please cop me one. But Boston is known for being so cold, and not just weather, but just cold as people. And that old English B has a way about it.
Yeah.
And when I saw this B, I was like, wow, like this feels like I'm being held a little bit, and I just really wanted this hat. So can you talk a little bit about that process and just the whole thing?
Yeah. I like to say that the actual story probably started in like 2019. I like had met Frank for the first time, and he just kind of had a Boston fitted on. He told me, we just had a quick conversation, but he was saying like, hey, like we gotta, like, you know, why is it cool for everyone to wear like a New York Yankee? Like, you know, like New Yorkers don't apologize for wearing the Yankee all the time. Like I'm not gonna apologize for wearing a Boston fitted all the time. Like, this is supposed to be our crown. This is where we're from, you know? And so it was like full circle all these years later, him being such a pivotal part in me getting the newer account, meeting Chad and all this. It's like, man, I wanna make something for my people that don't really feel like connected to the current symbolism of this city. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause I appreciate you. Because, yo, I feel we have so much perspective, like here, with like young people, and it's like, what do these young people have when they travel outside of the city and they need something to feel like represents where they're from or their home or whatever, or even just on a deeper level, like if everybody with a perspective from here decides to leave and go to like a New York or a LA because they feel like their perspective isn't being seen or heard, then what do we have here left to cultivate and grow? You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's about giving like a community that doesn't have a strong enough voice to like overpower like the masses, that like, yo, we got our own thing, you know what I'm saying? Like, and we're proud to wear this too. Like, this is our crown, you know? Like, and it will continue to be our crown as long as we continue to like honor it and support it and push it, you know? Like, that's it.
In that way, I feel like you really subverted a trope and like a stereotype of like who gets to wear the hat. And that's really beautiful. Another trope that I've seen you subvert is fatherhood and Black fatherhood. Can you just talk a little bit about the joy of being a dad?
Yeah, I've definitely, it's one of the harder jobs I've experienced, but man, I've been super blessed because I've been able to do this brand and work for myself all these years. I've seen them every day, like grow from a little tiny baby to a little boy, and when I see the kind of person he's becoming, someone so polite, someone so open, genuine, funny, like goofy, you know, like he has like some of the best parts of me, which I love. And yeah, it's like I'm always adapting to him. He never has to adapt to me, you know what I mean? Like, I always got to try to keep up with him, and it's exciting sometimes, you know? It's hard sometimes, but it's exciting and it's fulfilling.
What are you teaching him about joy?
That's a great question. I think he's so young that it's hard to kind of like sit a 4-year-old down and be like, hey, like, you need to prioritize this. You know what I'm saying? But I understand the things that make him happy, you know? So I do everything I can to have him within reach of all these things that make him happy. And that's really what it's all about for me right now. Just, you know, he wants for nothing, you know? And as it should be. Yeah, he's a happy kid, though. He's a happy kid.
As a creative, it's just an interesting time for all of us. No matter who you are, no matter what your craft is, we are in an interesting dystopian times. But there's a very aggressive attack against the arts and against the creative mind. The Kennedy Center of the Arts funding, it's all being politicized in a way that screams it's time for the artists to get to work because they know what is possible when we create. The thing is, creative block is a real thing. It happens. Sometimes it's just, you got this divine gift but you can't get it out. I know. It's why ABR season 3 is being held so long. Can you talk a little bit about design block and what that is like and how you're wrestling with it?
Yeah, I think I experience this every 9 months or so, like in some variation. But, you know, I think the landscape of who we are as like creatives and people is like, it's changing so much, right? Like for me, I gotta juggle being a father, a good son, and then if I'm like doing something online, like I have to be a content creator more than a designer at times. And then also I need time to get inspired, go do things or whatever. And then we need bread, you know what I mean? Like we need money to like survive and be able to take our time and put out something meaningful, you know what I'm saying? 'Cause that's the hard part. It's like, I'm not doing this just for a dime, you know, like when I'm going out and doing anything, I'm trying to do it with a lot of intention and like a really good taste level and like what I think people will, you know, be able to continue living their lives in, you know, like I'm making product for you to live your life in. And yeah, man, coming to like a creative block, it's difficult because then you start to, you know, you have doubts, you know what I'm saying? I'm calling Cheddar every day, like, help me out, you know what I'm saying? Like, and so in this time, really what gets me through it is just all the people that believe in me, all the times that I've failed forward and gone back up, just how important my work is to a lot of people coming up, you know? It's like, if I stop today, when does the next like independently owned Black brand for the city like really arise, you know? And I can't afford to like have that be another 10 years, 5 years, like, you know what I'm saying? Like I feel like I have a duty to keep going.
There's definitely at least one person, probably 10 or more, because we all need to be reminded of this sometime, need to know about failing forward and like betting on yourself and trying again even after you've lost, you took that L.
I've taken so many L's. I've taken so many L's. And, you know, I think you understand that it's always just a part of like the journey. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's expecting you to like go out and, you know how hard it is to like think of an idea, try to put out an idea, and then ask people to buy your idea or like show up for your idea. You know, it takes like a lot of courage and a lot of determination, a lot of people around you to believe in you and push you forward. So, yeah, you can't take it for granted. I forget what I was about to say, if I'm being honest, but, you know, it's important work and it's not easy work. So, yeah, if you have a perspective, if you believe, I always say, if you believe in something, push it. And like people will follow.
Push through and the people will come. Bet on yourself. Doug, you said you've been thinking about it a long time now.
I've been thinking about this question for 3 weeks.
So you know, what makes your life a beautiful resistance?
Man, it's hard. I don't have a singular answer, but I think what's beautiful is that I don't have to, but I get to inspire. I get to have a community behind me. I'm like lucky enough to have people who care about me and push me. And I'm grateful to keep going, you know? So that's it.
Thank you for sharing your beautiful resistance with us.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
The jacket hit different now, don't it? A little bit. He expensive. Like Jimmy's self-care. Our grand finale guest is the most illustrious, representing the Black of the Roxbury, my Cape Verdean queen, and honestly, just one of the realest to ever do it. She show up as her whole self, and I love it. And I love that when I met her, I didn't meet her as a journalist. I just met her in my workout class, and it was awesome. And she gave me the whole everything about how, she put the flag down for Roxbury. You know what? Deep down in the recesses of my mind, I should probably credit her for why I eventually moved from the South End to Roxbury, because it probably just built right into my spirit after that. Welcome, Senator Liz Miranda. You know, I had to put New Edition for you.
He said 2006, and I was like, wow.
Look, he said 2006, and I was like, wow.
Hi, everybody. Are y'all all right? Because y'all seeming a little like, can we give it up for Jeneé? You know? It's a beautiful room.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you just for being who you are in every room that you walk into. It means so much to so many. And I'm just gonna jump right in, but mostly because I know that you've been through some things, and I just wanna say I'm so happy you're here. I'm happy that you woke up today and you're with us. When you do this public-facing work that you do, that a lot of us do, people sometimes separate you from your personhood and from your traumas and your losses and the very big things that happen to you, because they want so much from you and you represent so much to them. And because of that, sometimes you forget to allow yourself to simply be human, to rest, to take a break, to chew your food.
Right.
I would love to open this with you just sharing about how you had a near-death experience and how it taught you how it's important to give yourself space to live, even when you're doing work to advocate for others.
Thank you. One, it was just an honor to Ivana and Doug, just an honor to be in your company. You know, I follow both of you. One of the things that I've always felt, and maybe other people can feel this in the room, I don't ever think that I've ever been allowed to feel worthy enough to rest. I don't think it's becoming a senator that made that challenging for me. I grew up in a very tight-knit, but a community that everyone looked down upon. At one point in time, it was the poorest place in the Commonwealth. And I remember feeling like at 5, at 9, at 13, at 20, feeling like I had to work 2 jobs. So I don't think I've ever felt comfortable resting. I don't know who I'm trying to prove stuff with, but on Friday, it was Valentine's Day. I'm bayless. If y'all got some people, holler at me, let me know.
And me too.
High value women is getting kind of hard out here. But my colleagues were probably with their partners or their children, and I decided to work. And not only did I decide to work on Friday, I decided to fill my entire day. And I was gonna go check out Bloom on Blue Relive. I don't know if you know about Dariella and check out her work. She got 8 parcels on Blue Relive, talk about owning the block. And I was like, I gotta go see Dariella. There was a Haitian roundtable to prepare the mayor. She's going down to DC to fight the big bad monster in a few weeks. And then I had to go check out my girl. I don't know if you guys know about Gourmet Creole.
Yes.
She's opening 2 restaurants in our city, Haitian food. Long story short, I had a half a cup of tea that morning. I had reached my 4th spot, and I decided to go check out my homegirl, Marcia, who opened Blue Mountain in Mattapan. So shout out to Blue Mountain in Mattapan. And
get the salmon.
because of the liquor license bill that was signed into law by the governor that was written by me and my colleagues, she had a liquor license now. And I went and I said, hey, congratulations. Long story short, I got a plate of food. I love stewed chicken. And so I was like to my staffer, I don't want to be late to my next spot, but let's get some food. And can I sit down? In 10 minutes, I was like, I got 10 minutes, y'all. I was famished, but I didn't think I had enough time to eat. And long story short, I began to choke on my food because I was scarfing it down. And he was probably busy checking on my next stop that he didn't realize I was choking for like 3 minutes. And as I was like panicking, essentially he had to perform the Heimlich on me. And if y'all know Kevin, he was worried about breaking his knee, I think, or hurting my ribs. And I had to help him. And it didn't come out until I became limp. And it really taught me a lot that day, because as I saw the food coming out of my body after 5 minutes of trying, literally wasn't breathing, I thought to myself, is this how I'm gonna go? I'm gonna go in Mattapan. I'm a Roxbury girl. I love Mattapan, but I ain't from Mattapan. And I was like, damn, it's not even no jerk chicken. Jerk chicken be hard. Stew chicken, I'm gonna go, like all the things I've done in my life and I've survived, I'm gonna go eating stewed chicken in Mattapan. And what is that gonna do to her business? That's what I was thinking in my mind. And what disappointed me wasn't even that moment. What really disappointed me was that I went on with my day. I went to the 2 stops. I went home, cried. Justin, shout out to Justin on my team. Justin's here. Justin came to pick me up. I went to my 3rd stop. And then I went home and I did something politicians do, which is called call time, where you call donors to invite them to events. And I did all of that. And it wasn't until today in therapy that I really realized I had to have my staff perform the Heimlich on me on Friday because I didn't think I deserved 10 minutes to sit down and eat. Not even, I could have said, hey, let them know we'll be 20 minutes late, let me enjoy my food. I was really hungry. But the idea that it took me to get through the weekend and to go to therapy, and she's like, well, how was your week? And I was like, sis, I almost died on Friday. And I tried to, skate over it. And she said, no, we're not going to skate over this. Let's talk about this. And what I realized, it's a trauma response. For those of us that grew up in families and communities where, in Criollo, we call it sufrir calado, but this act of suffering silently, it's almost like a badge of honor that I thought I couldn't even stop and end my day to take care of myself. And days later, my throat, my ribs, and my chest still hurt. But I was thankful that the community supported me. I shared my testimony online. My staff, I called them crying, and I canceled everything today. I went to sleep. You got to lay down. And I'm here. I am here.
And today, repeat after me. Today, I, Senator Liz Miranda of Roxbury, solemnly swear, I will take care of myself. Before I take care of others.
Thank you. And I will slow the F down, okay?
I don't want to see you at all 10 events.
No, and if you see me out eating fast, just tell me to slow it down. It'll be okay.
What's your earliest memory of taking a stand and really having a voice?
So I remember, I grew up in the Dudley Triangle. Anyone from Roxbury and Upham's Corner? So my whole life was between Dudley Square, down Dudley, now Nubian Square, and Upham's Corner. I had an auntie that lived on Hancock Street, so sometimes I would go there. But my whole life was Dudley Street. And I have memories as young as 5 years old watching novellas with my grandmother who couldn't speak Spanish, but the Spanish on the novellas was the closest thing to the Portuguese and Cape Verdean Creole she knew. And I remember at 5 knowing that my neighborhood looked different. So there's a book about my neighborhood called Streets of Hope. There are 2 movies called Holding Ground and Gaining Ground. And I thought that the 1,400 parcels of vacant land were actually parks. I didn't realize that I lived in an environmentally unjust community. I didn't know that that was because of arson for profit and redlining and white flight. that the Irish and Italians that lived in my neighborhood, because they were going to be forced to integrate schools after the 74 decision, many of them left our communities in disarray. And so Cape Verdeans came to this community. Puerto Ricans moved from the South End to this community. African Americans were also moving up through the South End. The South End was a Black community, y'all. And I remember thinking that way for a long time. Like, I would see the novellas, and their school had grass. And my school, the Emerson, was concrete and had asphalt. I would pass by these lots, and they'd be dirty, and it smelled really bad. I didn't know that people were dumping in my neighborhood, and then we had illegal trash transfer stations. And so the city's trash was literally dumped upon our people. And it was 13, I was 13. And I remember this woman, Ross Everdell, she might be listening now. She was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Look around." And I was throwing my teeny juice and my 25-cent chips on the floor because there were no trash receptacles anywhere. There were no bus stops anywhere. And she invited me to a community cleanup. And she said to bring my friends. And I brought my friends, went to that community cleanup. And I've spent the last 25 plus years in community organizing from that one experience of watching my community smell differently, look differently, and because we helped clean up that lot. So that's what I remember first.
How you see Roxbury and how you see Boston is so powerful. Like, I remember being in a workout class with you, and you were learning I was new to the city, and I didn't even say what I did yet, but you were just talking to me about Roxbury and Boston. And I remember being like, wow, like, I was just so moved by your, like, just how proud you were. And I think about you, and I think about Dart whenever I think about that type of, like, very particular Black Boston pride. Why does it continue to be such a fight for us to claim our own Black Boston narrative? It feels like there is a very intentional use of systems and people of Boston to make Boston the poster of racism, as if wherever you live on this earth, especially in America, is racist. But they're also happy to make it like Boston is the only place where racism is on earth, and there are no Black people here, when in fact, this place is primarily comprised of people of color. How do we fight this? How do we continue to take space and make sure people know, like, there's a reason to wear the crown that Doug designed with pride?
So I think I had a similar situation as you. So I went to an exam high school in Boston, the JDOB, anybody Tech Tigers or O'Brien Tigers. And I was the first in my family to go to a high school and graduate. My mom was a teen mom, and she dropped out of her third year at Madison Park High School, and she's been a cook ever since. She hasn't retired yet. And I remember in high school, I would do the same trek every day. I would leave high school and walk through Dudley Square and walk through, like, with thousands of people. It was the place to hook up. It was the place to get on the payphone. I'm dating myself, have my little beeper. And I'd walk through OP, and it wasn't called Orchard Gardens at the time. It literally was OP, Dark Side, Parkside. And I would walk through the projects, and then I would get to Eustis Street and then walk into the Cape Verdean community. If it was cold, I'd take the number 15 bus. And I remember that Nubian Roots and DSNI's youth group was really the first place that I learned pride, because if I didn't have pride in my community and loved my community, I would have been listening to the messages. You have to remember that they were actively, like they're doing now, using the TV to say that the crack epidemic was our fault. They were saying that we were dirty people, we were savages. I remember the Charles Stewart case in Mission Hill. Mission Hill was Roxbury before it got a brand, Northeastern, the MFA's in Roxbury too, before they got their own zip codes, but we're not gonna talk about that. And it was really at Nubian Roots that I learned that you have to have pride in your people and your story to be able to not only succeed, but to survive what they were throwing at us. Before 13, before high school, I didn't think I wanted to stay in my community. I would just honestly, every day, tell my mom that I just wanted to leave Roxbury because every time I told someone I was from Roxbury. And so what I believe is going to be the same sauce. Like, I'm a community organizer at heart. I know I have this fancy title, and a lot of times before I was a senator, I was a state rep. And a lot of people would look at me differently and talk to me and take advice from me or answer my calls and emails only if they saw me in my suit or my button, because sometimes they thought I was the help. Even though I was a state rep and a state senator. And so I think the way that we fight this is through community organizing principles. The power of community change lies in the people, right? You can't lead people you do not love and you don't respect. And I think what's happening now, Roxbury's cool to live in, but if you see all the times like Fort Hill, a community that had a lot of Black home ownership, doesn't exist anymore. And you find that people are well-meaning, but they have this listserv in this neighborhood where they constantly attack one another. Or I remember like a couple months ago, a lady moved to the community and she was like, what is this god-awful noise on a Saturday morning? And it was coming from the mosque. And the people on the listserv was like, that is music, that is prayer. We welcomed this mosque, the largest mosque in New England, to Roxbury, where no one else in New England would house them. And that's beautiful, that's prayer, you know? And so I think fighting back through community organizing is the way we win. And it doesn't come quickly. I don't think we need instant gratification, but the power that you build in people and among people is the only thing that I think will actually sustain us.
You're on the front lines of this political warfare that we're in. How are you harnessing joy as a power and just fighting forward in what is going to be an everyday fight?
So I Googled an article after President Trump won that was, how do you find joy and hope when you don't got none? And you'd be surprised how many articles are written like that. And it's because I was feeling very hopeless. I've already gone through a Trump presidency. I am in the State House. I'm one of 4 Black women in the entirety of the State House. There are 200 legislators, and there are only 4 of us. I'm the only 4th Black woman since 1630 to ever serve as a senator in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
And add the Cape Verdean identity to that.
And being Cape Verdean, coming from a Black African immigrant family, I'm actually the first in the nation. And so I wear a lot of pressure because I understand deeply how both parties, not just the Republican Party, because I think the Dems need to sit down and have a reflection moment and listen to Black people, particularly Black women, who vote at 92 percentile, because we knew what was coming. Because we know when they come for us, they're gonna come for you later. And I think that's what people are forgetting, that when we talk about anti-DEI, veterans are one of the subgroups that get a lot of benefits from DEI programs. White women.
White women get the most.
White women. People that are disabled. And actually, Black women are probably at the bottom of what people consider DEI incentives, because oftentimes there's so many roadblocks in our way for us to get the DEI. And so my way of keeping joy right now is to be in community, be around people I love, show a lot of gratitude. And I think about Angela Davis. How many of you guys were at the MLK breakfast? Did anyone go to the MLK breakfast this year? Thank you. Sister Angela said a Dr. King quote about having finite disappointment but infinite hope. And she said another line that Trump might have won, but he will not win. I just want to repeat that. Trump might have won, but he will not win. And good people and humanity will win, and it won't happen today. It might not even happen tomorrow. We might have to suffer a little bit. But her third thing that she said, we've been here before. And the only thing that sustained us and helped us survive was each other. And so I'm not expecting the establishment to come save us. Now more than ever, mutual aid. We don't have to wait for another COVID pandemic to start mutual aid programs, you know? Free breakfast came from the Black Panther parties, you know? They did that. Saturday school came from the Black Panther parties. And I don't think we have to wait to support a Love Your Magic or to buy a line item or a clothing item from someone we love or support an elected official you believe in, you can do those things right in the moment. So how I'm protecting my joy is just being around the people I love. And whenever I feel sad, I do this thing. If you guys see me, don't stop me. But I walk around my neighborhood. I still live in the same neighborhood I grew up in. And sometimes when I'm feeling really depressed and sad, I go up to Dudley Street, I go to Ideal Sub Shop, I still buy a sub that I could buy chips, a soda, and a sub for less than $10. And I look at Dudley Street, and you remember that 1,400 parcels of vacant land? There's only 2 left. There's only 2 left. And it might have took 30 years, but when I look around, the bus stops have trash receptacles and there's bus stops. We're covering. Those are not things that we had. We only have 1 trash transfer station left in our neighborhood where 100% of Cambridge is trash, so we need to get that out of there. But the point is that I walk up the street and I see hope. I see the people that worked hard for 30 years to make sure that their children wouldn't have to live in the communities that they lived into.
We need more time.
Politicians are long-winded. Sorry, y'all.
We are long-winded people in general, even if you wasn't a politician. Before I get to the last question and we bring up Q&A, I have one more question, or really even a prompt. One of the things that concerns me hour by hour, day by day, is how they're resurrecting from a supremacist playbook from the inception of America. And much of it is like divide and conquer, divide and conquer. And we've made so much progress at celebrating the humanity of one another and being human together within our Blackness, within the diaspora, within the queer community, and in the wider immigrant community that's not Black, and just the importance of that intersectionality. And they're weaponizing every bit of it to tear us apart and tear us against each other. Could you just kind of reinstill some of the nutrients and just fortification of like why it's important that we remember that our humanity is bound in one another and we have to be intersectional in liberation?
I'm a fundamental believer that our humanity is tied. I think a lot about, if anyone has heard about the Freedom Rides, and we had a staple in our community, Bob Moses. And Bob Moses was an amazing man, and he was participatory and led these Freedom Rides to do voter registration in Mississippi. And I remember when I would look at the pictures and the history of that moment, you saw white college students, you saw Catholics, you saw Jews, you saw African Americans that were at HBCUs, at PWIs. The buses were filled with everyone. And these people would go down south, and once they would pass the Mason-Dixon line, many of their buses were bombed. Some of them were pulled to the side. People were beaten. And oftentimes they would carry on and still make their way from the East Coast through South Carolina, through Georgia, and make it their way to Mississippi. And I think a lot about right now when I watch TV, it is that you have to, if you don't want war, you have to pick a side, right? Are you picking the side of the Israelis or the people in Gaza? And what I want to tell people is that our humanities are so tied that the reason why they're spending so much time dividing and conquer us, because they know that we're so powerful together, right? Did they succeed in registering all those people all at once? No, but they kept coming back. The Freedom Rides kept coming back, and they kept fighting until they won freedom for people. Now, we're still working on it, so I think about that moment. And the other thing about intersectionality, I can't get rid of my womanness, and I can't get rid of my Blackness, right? And I can't get rid of my third identity of being from an immigrant family. And I talk often that we cannot stand alone on issues. When I think about reproductive justice, you know, when I see women who will wear the pink, I call them the pink kitty hats, and then the Muslim ban came and they were nowhere to be found, that is not true injustice. And as a Black woman, I told a lot of my feminist friends, I was like, you know, your movement, a movement that denies me my identities of my whole self is not a movement I want to be a part of. And so I'm hoping people understand that deeply.
I think it was Toni Morrison that said, thin love ain't love at all. We don't want it unless it's thick. Thick love.
Expensive self-care.
Expensive. What makes your life a beautiful resistance?
I think the audacity that I have, not only as a Black girl, but a hood Black girl, to show people that I can be both beautiful and brilliant, that I could, wear my Air Forces and I could wear my 4-inch heels, that I don't have to fit in your box. I think about Entasake Shange poem when I used to remember as a kid thinking about my rainbows would never be enough. And when I work with my girls in Modern Mentor, or I go to Love Your Magic, I stand in front of them and say, I've been through so many things in my life. Childhood abuse, I've been assaulted, I've gone through a DV relationship, and no one sees that in the title, right? But when I bring my full self, I tell them all, like, it's okay to be who you are. For a long time, my fathers and my brothers were incarcerated, and when I went to Wellesley and MIT, I could never tell anybody, thank you, sorry. I could never tell people my mom was a cook and my dad was incarcerated. And it wasn't until I graduated that I came back home that I realized, why not? I still graduated at the top of my class at Wellesley. My mom did drop out of high school. My dad was locked up. And I grew up in a tough neighborhood, and I still did better than y'all. So I think that audacity is something that I'm thinking a lot about when I think about joy as resistance, is that reclaiming the idea that it is okay to be who you truly are, your whole self.
It is always okay.
Always okay.
I'm going to come find you if I ever find you not being Liz from Roxbury, because I'm going to always be Jeneé from VA, little hood girl. I wish I had 30 more minutes with you. I have so much more I want to ask and say, but that just means we're going to do another event at another time.
Sure will.
Can we please first give it up for our illustrious Liz Miranda, the good senator. And then I'm gonna welcome Doug and Ivana back to the stage.
One more time, yo.